we're back. This is Elliot and Jose coming to you from Dreamland Comics in Schaumburg, Illinois on the Comic Culture Warrior video channel. Another good book that we enjoyed. And, of course, we've talked about this before.
We haven't talked about it in a while.
Well, we haven't talked about it in a while. Secret Warriors, Nick Fury, Agent of Nothing, number 6. Picking up from last issue, where it looked like Nick Fury and his Howling Commandos had bitten off a little bit more than they could chew, trying to get all those helicarriers back from Hammer, and finding themselves between Hammer's forces and Hydra. The Secret Warriors come in and pretty much save the day.
Yeah.
Great fight. Pretty cool. Jonathan Hickman gets a lot of credit for writing very cerebral scripts, but I think here he also choreographs some really...
this is all action issue.
It's all action. It's an all-action issue. And there's a lot of great stuff that happens, lots of twists and turns, fights.
Stefano Caselli.
Caselli,
awesome
of course, doing some incredible stuff. And, you know, what can you say except that, yet again, this is another book where they're showing how the Dark Reign will be coming to an end. People are, their forces gathering throughout the Marvel Universe. Nick Fury is putting together his own army.
Yes.
And doing what, to me, I thought was surprising and yet, in retrospect, fairly obvious. He goes up against a bunch of Hammer agents. And when the Hammer agents...
Hydra shows up.
And then Hydra shows up. I'm just saying, in the aftermath, after they repel Hydra, and they're left with just Hammer, the Hammer agent said, "You're under arrest." Yeah. and the Nick Fury says, "Put that gun down, I'm going to beat you to death with it. Now, do you want to work for me or what?" Mm-hmm. And that's what happens. And he gets a ton of Hammer agents to defect and to move back to him. And... it's kind of like, gee, that's really obvious. And the fact that they do it here, it works really well for me. I always found it kind of incredulous that the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents were willing to just, turn around and work for Norman Osborn pretty readily. Here we're seeing that not all S.H.I.E.L.D. agents felt that way. And this is really a very well-executed plot, a really well done plot. You can see what Nick Fury is doing right now, what his plan is to get things together, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yes, it is. And one of the things I liked about Hickman is that you can tell that the guy he's just not churning shit out, right. And then maybe 3 months down the line he'll just drop a plot line,
right?
Because he doesn't think it's interesting anymore, or if he writes himself in a corner and just does away with that story, just doesn't talk about it anymore. Whereas here, there's been 6 issues, and the entire 6 issues has been leading up and through, and it's getting to somewhere. Yes, and everything is important. Everything that goes on in this comic is important.
Great.
And
I'll tell you right now, this is going to read really well as a trade.
Yes.
When they collect, like even just these first 6 issues, this book is overdue for a trade collection. Yeah. It's going to read really well. When you put it together, you can actually sit down and read all 6 issues in one sitting. Mm-hmm. I mean, not that you can't now, but if you've been one of those folks who didn't jump on the bandwagon with this title in the beginning, the first few issues are really hard to find. So definitely pick up the trade. There is a subplot going on, too, with Nick and and the Contessa, where at the end of this issue, you see another... little reveal that is very similar to some of the reveals we've been seeing in Thunderbolts. Mm-hmm. Don't want to give it away. Let's just say it's gotten really intriguing, and Jonathan Hickman has shown he's good at the cliffhangers. He's really good.
Yeah, and this book, kind of like Thunderbolts also, is kind of an espionage book. Mm-hmm. You have spies and counter-spies, and people are double and triple crossing, and it keeps it lively, and it keeps you interested.
Yes.
And you're reading this, and you're like, oh, right, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's not one of those things that can embed this book where he'll just throw in a surprise ending, and you're like, where the fuck did that come from?
True.
And then he never explains where it came from. Whereas this, you go back and you read it, and like, that makes sense.
Exactly.
Everything makes sense. Everything is just fitting together now very, very nicely. And like it's just a well thought out story and script. And Jonathan Hickman needs to do more stuff. And if you're not reading Red Mask from Mars, you need to buy that book if you like his superhero stuff in here. Because that is an awesome superhero book. There's only 3 issues out so far, but go buy that.
I'm wondering how is Secret Warriors doing? Because it has both the Dark Reign logo slapped on it, and it has Bendis on as a co-writer. You'd think this would be the formula for a hit book.
I really should keep this fucking thing right behind me every week.
And yet, I don't hear... I mean, yes, the book sells out pretty regularly wherever you go, but where is it as far as in the top 50, top...
I don't know.
Secret Warriors?
I don't know. Well, in the next segment, we'll tell you when we start the next segment where it is because I don't.
Well, I'm looking at I'm looking at the top 10 right now.
No,
I don't see it up
10.
there. I see. Look at the top 10 now.
20,
20, top 30. No. I don't get it. What does it take? Here we go.
There's 46. That's
Number 46. But still, you've got Bendis' name on it.
Well,
it's a Dark Reign book. Still, this is a kick-ass book.
Well, every book that we review on here is a kick-ass book, and it just underperforms.
No, but
all the time.
I'm just saying, but it also has the elements that you would expect from a top-selling book. Has Bendis' name on it, and it's one of those Dark Reign issues. I don't get it.
Well, so does Thunderbolts, and so does Agents of Atlas, so does Detective. All those books.
Yeah, but Bendis' name isn't on any of those.
That's why I'm buying them.
All right. So anyway, great book. Great book. Enjoying it immensely. If you're not reading it, again, another book that you're kind of missing out on. When we come back, we bid adieu to one of the best books Marvel has ever put out.
I don't know, best book ever.
Well, let's just say
in the last 10 years.
Last 10 years, there we go. We'll see you then.